Good morning. During the declared Good morning. During the declared emergency, Committee of Adjustment virtual public hearings are being conducted by electronic means through WebEx, an online digital platform, and streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel. These measures are necessary to comply with physical distancing requirements and in-person attendance limitations. This will be a virtual public hearing, and participants who have registered in advance will be able to make their presentations to the committee using WebEx, an online event that is being moderated by city staff. Anyone wishing to view the hearing may do so by watching on YouTube. Participants who have registered in advance will be connecting either by their computer, a phone, or tablet app, or by telephone. All participants will automatically be muted on entry. When your item is called, each participant will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. Only the committee members will be participating by video. Any registered participants will be participating by audio only. We ask that you also mute your devices until you are called on to speak. We acknowledge the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. In accordance with sections 45 and 53 of the Planning Act, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is called to order. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from the provisions of zoning that applies to property, permission to extend or alter lawful non-conforming uses, and consent to sever property to create new lots. Anyone in attendance today who wants to receive a copy of the decision of the committee on an application must submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure that you include your name, address, and email address, because Committee of Adjustment and the TLAB will be sending notifications and appeal updates by email. If you do not agree with our decisions may be appealed to the Toronto Local Appeal Body, TLAB, or in some limited circumstances to the Local Planning Appeal Tribunal, LPAT. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the decision of the committee. Today's hearing procedure is that I will call each item in the order listed on the agenda. Making your submissions. When an application is uncontested, the agent or applicant may proceed with their presentation if desired. When the committee does not require a presentation, applicants are to advise the chair should they wish to speak to the committee. The committee may ask questions and/or take the matter into committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will comment when you are reaching the 5 minutes. When addressing the committee, please clearly state your name and address. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. The applicant or agent will proceed first and will make a presentation to the committee of the application. Please note, the committee may not entertain revisions to the proposals at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer the application if substantially revised to ensure the revised application is accurate and that all those entitled to notice of the application are informed of the changes. Then individuals either in support or opposed to the application will be invited to speak. They will also be allowed 5 minutes. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they have finished their presentation. When all speakers are finished, the applicant agent has an opportunity to rebut only those issues that were raised by the speakers. This will mark the end of discussion. The application will then be taken into committee for a decision. Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, do we confirm the minutes of the last meeting?
Yes.
All right. And are there any declarations of interest on the panel or staff for items in the morning slot? None. Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, have you received any requests for deferral?
We do have a few, but we'll deal with them as we go through the agenda.
Okay. Are there any files to be closed?
Not today.
All right, thank you. We'll now proceed to the first item on the agenda, 38 LYALL Avenue. The purpose of this application is to alter the existing two-story semi-detached house by constructing a rear two-story addition with a ground floor deck and a rear basement walkout. A rear yard parking space will also be created. We have before us on this application material submitted by the applicant, staff report from Heritage Preservation Services, 6 form letters in support, and opposition from 47 LYALL Avenue. Is the first speaker on the line?
I'm here, Jonathan Benskowski.
All right, thank you. We have your address, sir.
301 Keewatin Avenue.
Okay. Could you give us a brief presentation?
Yes, this is an application that we've been dealing with for almost a year, back and forth with Heritage Preservation Services. We have arrived at a built form and a design that is acceptable to Heritage Preservation Services. As you can see from the package I did submit online, letters of support are submitted from both the adjacent attached neighbor, the other half of the semi to the east, as well as the property to the north, the immediate property. So the two properties that would be impacted, if there were significant impact, which in my opinion there isn't, would be those two properties do not have any objections. In terms of the variance that that seems to be larger, would have to deal with the rear parking. The reason for that rear deficiency for landscaping is because of a mutual right-of-way that is shared with the attached dwelling at 38A. So there is no opportunity in this instance to green the rear yard because of that right-of-way that has to be open to maintain access. In addition, this is essentially an existing situation that is there today. In terms of the addition, this is a very small house that exists at only 78.89 square meters, or about 850 square feet. The addition is basically to add an additional 820 square feet to make this house more livable for the expanding family that lives in it today. And again, I would just like to say I have no issue with the HPS comments that will require a permit, as we have been working with them extensively for almost a year now.
Okay, the panel, any questions? Yes, Peter?
Yeah, thanks. I just wanted to check the driveway in the back. Is the existing situation gravel?
Yes.
And the proposal is to put concrete down?
I mean, it could be a permeable paver if that's a condition you'd like to impose.
Okay, yeah.
I don't think we would have an issue with that.
Okay, that was my question. Thanks.
Any further? Yes, Yim? We can't
Okay.
hear you, Yim.
Yeah. Okay, my question is about the same driveway. How much do you have to maintain only the part that in your property? It goes further, right? Is it further south? Is it the same material, the whole easement driveway?
Sorry, I'm not quite sure I understand the question.
Oh, I'm to the easement. It seems that it's extended even beyond your property, right? It goes.
Yeah, that easement along the side of the property is what the adjacent neighbor, which would be the other half of the semi, they presently use that as parking because that accesses their rear yard. Today it's essentially grass with I guess you could call it a grass island in the middle with kind of gravel everywhere else.
Yes. And also, you only have to maintain the part that is on your property, right? Anything beyond that, you can have any material, not,
Well, within the easement right away itself, I mean, that would have to be something that would be dealt with on that agreement. But in terms of this easement extending into the rear yard of the adjacent neighbor, I wouldn't, I would not suggest or request that we impose any type of condition that would deal with the easement as it extends into the neighbor's rear yard.
yeah, that's what that's what I want to clarify. Yeah. Yeah, it's only in your property that you can actually control or
Correct,
maintain.
correct.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Any further questions? All right, we ready for a motion?
I'm happy to bring a motion. This is a sizable addition to the house, but as was stated, it's a very small house, and I think the fact that it's on a corner lot does give it more breathing room. So I think the variances being requested are minor, and I would move a motion to approve subject to the heritage condition in the February 23rd report, and subject to the condition that the driveway be constructed with water permeable pavers.
We have a seconder?
I will second that.
Okay, all in favor? You have your approval, sir. Thank you. Next item is number 280 Hubbard Boulevard. This application, the purpose of the application is to alter the existing two-story detached dwelling by constructing a rear deck with side privacy screens, a rear detached shed, and converting the rear parking space into soft landscaping. With this application, we have material submitted by the applicant, 4 form letters in support, opposition from 8 Selwood Avenue, and we have one speaker, Mr. Smith.
Morning, Mr. Chair. Jay Smith. I'm the agent for 80 Hubbard Boulevard.
Sir, could you speak directly into the mic? We can't hear you.
Morning, Mr. Chair. I'm Jay Smith. I'm the agent for 80 Hubbard Boulevard.
Yeah, that's better. Okay. Do we, panel, do we need a presentation in this matter? No?
You
All right.
have a speaker now.
Pardon?
Sorry, are there no speakers in opposition for this?
No. Not on my list. Do you have any speakers in opposition? All right. All right. Before we go into committee, Mr. Smith, we don't need a presentation. Is there anything you want to say?
No, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. All right, panel, are we ready for a motion?
I have one question.
Yes.
Yeah, I just would like to know why do you not providing any parking space? It's only I'm reacting to also our opposition letter from number 8 Sherwood is asking about the parking, why you're not providing any.
Most of that is due to the fact that a significant portion of the backyard is right of way. And even beside the shed on the northeast corner of the property, where it's labeled no proposed parking space, even that is right of way, right up to the edge of the shed eaves. So there is very little yard left. The family is trying to create some family space back there. Currently, it is entirely hard landscaping. When they bought the property, it was entirely parking. So we're trying to increase the soft landscaping and give them some recreation area and still be able to, use the backyard as a backyard instead of just straight parking.
Any other questions? Take it into committee. Do we have a motion?
Yeah, in that case, I would like to move for approval. And I do not think there's any condition. I think it is a straightforward application, and there's only one opposition about parking, and then I think it's a very general concern in the area. Okay, yeah, I move for approval.
All right, seconder? Yes. Peter, use your
I'll
other
second.
hand. You're blocked. You're blocked. There's something on
Pardon
the
me.
screen. All right,
I'll second it.
All in favor? Thank you. You have your approval, sir. Thank you. Number 3
Mr.
is,
Chair, we can deal with 3, 4, and 5 together, I think, because they're related.
yeah, they are. Okay, so 3, 4, and 5. First, the purpose of 1230 Bloor Street West is to permit the use of an outdoor patio as well as ancillary uses for food serving and food refrigeration to the rear of the existing mixed-use building. The patio, food serving, and food registration uses are associated with the existing restaurant at 1226 Bloor Street West. The purpose of the application in 1228 is to create an undersized parking space and to permit the use of an outdoor patio as well as ancillary uses for drink, food, service, and storage to the rear of the existing office building. The patio, food, drink, service, and storage is to be associated with the existing restaurant at 1226 Bloor Street West. And the purpose of the application for 1226 is to create an undersized parking space and to permit the use of a food and container storage structure associated with the existing restaurant at 1226. So, the material we have with respect to 1230 is the material submitted by the applicant, email correspondence from transportation, and reports from community planning and engineering, and a letter from councillor, and correspondence in opposition from 622 Brock Avenue. With respect to 1228, we have material submitted by the applicant. We have the same staff reports. We have the same letter from the councillor and the same opposition. With respect to 1226, we have the same material submitted by the applicant, or material submitted by the applicant. I'm not sure whether it's the same staff reports, same letter from the councillor, and the correspondence in opposition. Mr. Theodore, can we hear from you, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm representing the owner of 1230 Bloor Street West, who also owns 1228, as well as 1226 Bloor Street West, which is the location of Bar Neon. My client has been evolving the nature and function of the Bar Neon restaurant to a more classic restaurant and bakery style. Part of the evolution is transforming the underutilized area at the rear of the 3 properties into an outdoor space and storage opportunities. The space includes shipping containers that are used for both food storage as well as food preparation. And that's really reflecting a European approach to outdoor culinary experiences. And the containers combined with 12-foot fencing provides an enclosure that contains the patio space within the rear portion of the 3 properties. The minor variance was submitted in February of 2020 to support the desired goal, allowing for the shared patio relationship across the 3 properties. When COVID hit, the request for the minor variance shifted from a desire to a necessity in order to help keep the restaurant afloat as my client navigates the various lockdowns and the social distancing protocols that come with that. So the committee's approval of the variance will help my client to weather the COVID-19 pandemic. We have reviewed planning's recommendation report and recognize the sensitivity surrounding the variance associated with entertainment being created on the patio. We recognize that same sensitivity has been raised by a resident in the area. We respectfully request that the committee consider planning staff's recommendation number 2, as their conditions that they're proposing, which is the combination of the board-on-board fencing and containers, assist in some mitigation of potential noise impacts. And my client is also agreeable to the time restrictions of the entertainment component. Staff are recommending as a condition of the variance as noted in their recommendation number 1. So I'm happy to answer any questions the committee may have with respect to the proposal.
Do we have any questions? Yes, Peter?
I have one question. Just can you, I know in 2019, other applications came before the committee for a 4-story building at 1230 Bloor. Can you tell me how that application is going to line up with this, and if there are any, if you're seeing differences resulting from that?
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Chair. So that application is for a vertical and horizontal addition. There are costs associated with that, which my client it's part of a long-term goal in terms of achieving that. So this this variance is allowing for an interim opportunity to enhance the restaurant. When that application comes forward, or when that proposal to expand 1226 comes forward, it would effectively replace that. And should we wish to do anything different, the way in which we're seeking these variances, we would have to go back to the committee if we were seeking something different relative to 1228 and 1230. So if we're moving forward to 1226, it would be, we would have to reconsider what happens to 1228 and 1230. Hopefully that makes sense.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Theodore, I just want to understand your position with respect to the staff report saying entertainment only between 10 a.m. and 9 p.m. Is that acceptable to your client?
Yes, we are acceptable to that condition being added to the community adjustment variance.
Thank you. Any further questions? We have a motion?
We have a speaker in opposition.
Oh, pardon me. Right, okay, let's hear from Ms. Gaines.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Chair. I am someone who owns a home for 20 years next to Bar Neon. And the problem being with this extension is they have already done the building. They were working on a very large pergola covering most of the back of 1226, extending into 1228 as well. And there's several shipping containers on site with venting. My issue is that in the past, just with 1226 Bloor Street West itself, they were playing very loud house music on the patio, often past 2 o'clock in the morning. So to extend the building and make a patio so large as to have about 116 people poses quite inconvenience for me. I work from home. I'm not able to sleep with the windows open. People congregate in the back to access the establishment. They have removed the solid wooden gate, and it is now an open mesh metal gate that you would see on an old elevator type of thing. So the sound carries directly up the laneway, and because of the proximity to residential, it really poses an issue.
Ms.
As
Gaines,
well as using it as an entertainment.
Ms.
Yes?
Gaines, are you aware that the staff made a recommendation that the entertainment shut down at 9 p.m. and Mr.
Yes,
Theodore,
I've heard that.
and Mr. Theodore says that his client accepts that? So there will be
Yes.
no entertainment after 9 p.m.
Right. So entertainment, in the past, I do recall them renting the space out to a private party, and they had a live band. So their version of entertainment, due to the music thumping, and I hear it in my house, I have not been able to just sit and relax and read a book. Often I've had to wear earplugs in my own home. And I've had to leave a dinner party to walk over and ask them to please turn the music down. So I do have an issue with it being an entertainment zone if they are going to be playing any amplified music whatsoever. As well, we've had an issue with mice in the area. So having food storage I see that being an issue to attract more mice. And in the past, they've also not been very helpful in asking the crowds to keep their voices down. They've served. Anyway, I'm going off topic. If they are being closed by 9, that does not apply to, you know, serving birthday cakes at 2 in the morning. But the smells from the outdoor kitchen as well. I do believe that they tend to have an outdoor kitchen, and I'm not sure where the wood burning stove is for the pizza, if that's outside as well. So my concern is, how are these smells being so close to people's homes going to be kept down, as well as any amplified music with the open gate lining up with the laneway. And I work from home as well. So this poses an issue for my clients listening to the noise from 10 a.m. to 9.
All right, does anybody, panel, do you have any questions of this party?
And the construction has basically been completed that I can see. The structures are on site. There's a large fence. The garages have been removed at the back, and there is, as I said, they're just finishing up a very large pergola. My understanding is, perhaps I'm wrong, I don't know, that they were supposed to have prior permits prior to the structure. I have asked the city since 2019, when I noticed that the approved plans of expanding the building were not going forward, what this was about, but that has not, unfortunately, been addressed.
All right.
They're
Ms.
using
Gaines,
one, yes?
do you have anything further?
I'm just also concerned about people congregating in the back. They're using one shipping container. I don't have an issue with that, to sell wine at the back and take out food, which I understand being more convenient for them. Just about people congregating in the back. But again, if they're closed by 9, that should not be an issue with people smoking in the back in the laneway.
I'm not sure that they're going to close by 9. They can't have entertainment after 9.
And what do they pose as entertainment? Are they thinking live music, loud music, amplified house music?
I don't know.
Okay.
We'll have to have Mr. Theodore. We'll have Mr. Theodore address that issue.
Okay.
All right. Are you? Is your submission complete?
I believe so. I would just like to address that house music is music that they play in a nightclub that has a very rapid beat. It changes your heart rate when you're listening to it, and you only hear the bass in your house, which can cause, unfortunately, it's caused me a lot of anxiety.
Okay. All right. So let's hear from Mr. Theodore now to deal with the issues raised.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to Ms. Gaines for kind of sharing those concerns. There's a number of things that Ms. Gaines shared that I think need to be unpacked. The work at the back is not complete. The work at the back is in a bit of a holding pattern, subject to approval of this variant. So if the variance is approved, then the ability to put in place and finalize organization, which at first started as kind of what was seen as just improvements and maintenance, and recognizing that additional approvals were required. That's why that's why the fencing, the temporary fencing is up. That's why those components are not completed. With respect to the music, and while I know one cannot control the type of music that's played at a restaurant, what I can confirm is my client does not play house or electronic music. It is more of the top 40 range. So that concern I'm unclear of, but what I do know is that after 11 o'clock, my client turns down the music to a below audible level. So really all you're hearing after that time period are voices. Um, and with respect to some of those concerns relative to outdoor parties and components like that, a lot of that my client had confirmed at first when the restaurant had opened that had happened. But my client has made the decision to move away from those outdoor parties, and they're sticking to that as they go forward. It's part of the evolution of the restaurant. The other component is that my client lives in one of the above units within these three. So having extended noise and having extended amplification is not something that's in their interest long term. They're also looking to start a family as well. So it they're also going to be a neighbor as it relates to this site. So that sensitivity also extends to them as well. Um, in terms of the outdoor kitchen and components and the concerns about odors, no matter what we do has to comply with health and safety protocols in terms of emissions. We have to be able to get that license from the city. So I think those controls are fully covered by the city's process. And with respect to the, I guess, general concerns as it relates to um, operation of the patio after, after certain times, after the 9 o'clock time period, um, that has to be balanced with the fact that my client needs to be able to operate their business. And I think there's a balancing act, and we're trying. I'm like through this process, we're trying to put in place measures to mitigate those potentials for conflict that this resident has raised. And even in the letter, Ms. Gaines indicated that she doesn't have an issue with an eating establishment or its extension, and she understands that everyone has the right to want a successful business, has the right for customers in their business so they can flourish. So I appreciate the sensitivity around the noise. I think the city's recommendations in the staff report go a long way in terms of ensuring that it's built in compliance with the plans that we show and providing that restriction on in terms of amplification, which other restaurants such as Duffy's Tavern for the West do not have. So I hope that helps to respond, and I'm happy to answer if there are any other particular items that the committee feels I haven't appropriately responded to.
All right, thank you, Mr. Theodore. Panel, do we have any questions? No questions? All right, before we vote, I just want to bring up one point that when we, and this doesn't have anything to do with this application in particular, but I understood from our orientation session that we were not to give any credence to counselors who are supporting applications. If they want to provide information, we're happy to accept it, but we're not going to accept their support. So I, for one, am going to ignore the letter from the counselor, and perhaps we should advise her that we will not, we do not agree to accept her support for any application.
So councillors are allowed to participate as if they were a regular resident, so their letter would be the same as
She's participating as a councillor on her own, on her councillor's letter.
Yep, so it's up to the committee how much weight or any weight that you. I understood the instruction was they can provide information, but we don't want them to support any application because of conflict of interest. They're the ones that appoint us. So yeah, that's true.
So I just ignore what she says. I don't know how the rest of the panel feels, but that's what we were told at our orientation meeting. So do we have, no further questions, do we have a motion? Yim?
Yes, I would like to request that the staff can put up the staff report with the conditions, because it's hard for me to go back to my document. I only have one computer. I just want to read the conditions again, because I'm a bit concerned about the amplifier. I want to clarify the operation and also whether they allow amplified music after 9. Okay, there's okay, we provide and yeah, this that to me, entertainment is a very broad term, and then I did not really mention specifically whether any music or just amplified music is not allowed. I just got a little bit uncertain. Because any kind of music, even after 9 p.m. in an open patio, you can hear it. I mean, it's not like we have other time we impose conditions that no music at all after the operation close. Good entertainment can be very silent, right? And can have also music.
So, Yim, do you want to make a motion subject to this condition as you amend it?
Yes, I think that I will add to have no amplified music after 9 p.m.
Okay. So is that your motion? Is that your
Yes,
motion?
I will move for approval with both those conditions plus the one that we just mentioned, no amplified music. If anyone willing to second that, I'm moving for approval.
All right.
I'll second that.
And that applies to all 3 applications?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay, you seconded, Peter. All in favor?
Yes.
Thank you. You have your approval, sir. Next item is number 6, 65 Willow Avenue. Purpose of this application is to construct a new 3-story detached dwelling with front and rear basement walkouts, a front integral garage, a front porch, a rear ground floor deck, and a front 3rd-story deck. A rear yard cabana will also be constructed. On this application, we have material from the applicant, a report from Urban Forestry, correspondence in support from 69 Willow and 70 Silver Birch, and 4 form letters in support. We have much opposition all on Willow Avenue. Mr. Romano.
Good morning.
Good morning. Could we have your address and your presentation, sir?
Yes, sir. Action Planning Consultants, 2095 Autumn Breeze Drive South in Port Credit. So I'd like to go through my slides, and I'm going to start with slide number 2, because slide number 2 shows that there are some revisions that have been made in the submission process that reflect discussions that have been ongoing, including discussions with planning staff, the zone examiner, and urban forestry. So slide 2 reflects the zoning notice revisions, and you'll see that the overall building height variance at the bottom of the page has been deleted. So the maximum permitted height here is 12 meters, and the proposal at its highest point is 10.34 meters. So when we go to variance number 1, we'll see the wall height on the side, and this is the north side, and part of the south side is now 10.34 meters. So that's an 84 centimeter difference from what the zoning bylaw allows. Now, that's not for the entire building because the entire building is sculpted. It's 2 and 3 stories. The 2-story component is less than the 9.5 meters that's permitted. In variance number 2, you'll see that the first floor height is being reduced to 1.501 meters. The floor space index remains the same, and I'll discuss that. The cabana, the ancillary building structure, is actually even different from the 6.1% because we received Urban Forestry's final response just after this slide submission was deadline. So this variance number 4 would be revised to 5.5%. or 13 square meters, and that is to accommodate the 1.5 meters distance that Urban Forestry has required. So the cabana and the dwelling can fully implement what Urban Forestry is seeking, and Urban Forestry has conditions of approval that my client can accept and the site development can accept. The front porch, variance number 6, is similar to the first floor. That's at 1.501 meters. So if we can now go to slide number 1, what we'll see is that the building is sculpted into the landscape. So there is a topography difference from the road to grade level, and it's about 1.2 to 1.5 meters. But that integral garage is above grade, and it was actually previously authorized in 2018. But in this instance, the driveway in the integral garage is above grade, and you'll see in the green outline the permitted area within which a building can be constructed. So the 12-meter height, 45 centimeter side yard setbacks, the building is completely within that permitted 3D volume. If we look on the left-hand side, we'll see the site plan with a red box around it. We'll see that the building length and depth is 14.2 to 15.6 meters, so well within what the zoning bylaw allows. There's one tree that's being affected, and that is near the front of the building within the permitted building envelope, and that is a tree that is to be removed. There is no way that a house can be constructed on this lot without removing one of 2 trees. And the one tree in the front needs to be removed. The tree in the back is going to be retained. We'll see on the second floor that the second floor is a differently articulated footprint, and it's smaller, 70.7 square meters. And then the third floor is even smaller still, 56.69 square meters. And that's why we have on the right-hand side of this visual, we have a sculpted front elevation, and then some of the renderings that illustrate how there are spaces that are open. And basically this is a contemporary building to be constructed today in 2021, which is obviously architecturally different than some of the other dwellings on the street and in the area which were not being constructed in 2021. So the proposal really has a physical form that respects and reinforces the physical form of development on Willow and in the neighborhood. And in the upper left, we're going to have a series of photographs. And these dwellings show that the street itself is reflective of the overall neighborhood, which contains a variety of architectural styles, but an overall physical form that is varied. These dwellings here represent everything from a floor space index of 0.6 to about 1 times coverage. And you'll see that they are in 2-story and 3-story formats, with integral garage and without an integral garage. And they are not exactly the same as one another. So the official plan policies look to respect and reinforce the overall physical form, but not to duplicate or replicate the architectural style or the overall characteristics for one property to the next. So what I would submit, Mr. Chair, is that the proposal does indeed respect and reinforce the physical character of the neighborhood. Yes, it is different, but it is different in a modern contemporary manner with an articulated building mass that is reduced in size as one moves up to the 3-story level, which is all under or lower than what the zoning bylaw would allow, and it occupies space on the lot that is even less than what the zoning bylaw would allow as of right. So I would submit that there is no unacceptable adverse impact. Planning staff have no objections. Urban forestry conditions can be accommodated, and they are accommodated and reflected in the revised variances. And I would submit that the application satisfies all 4 tests for a minor variance. Sir, subject to any questions, I would ask the committee to please approve the revised application.
Are there any questions? Yes, Jim. Can't hear you, you're muted.
I have one question, just a clarification. Can you explain the variance number 8 about the existing, there's no existing services?
That's correct.
I'm
That's correct.
I'm not too sure what, if you get that variance, whether you have to install services yourself or not?
No, this was a lot that was created in 2018, 2019, and so it would not have services. There are services along Willow that need to be extended by the city to the property line, and that gets done once a building permit application is filed. So, this is a technical variance, but there will be services, and there are services along Willow Avenue.
Yeah, that's why I can't understand the variance. Whether you will build a house with those services. Do they mean a hydro and water, or do they just mean a garbage pickup? What is it?
It's the services underground, water and sanitary. Yeah. Yeah, so the city is the one that brings the services to the property line, and then the private property owner is responsible to connect the building to those services at the property line. But the services aren't going to get put in place until there's a building permit application.
Oh, I see. So
very similar. There's a house 2 properties to the north that was under the same condition. So there were no services. The city brought it to the property line, and then it was connected by the owner to the property line.
Okay, so the variance allows you to build before those things be installed, right?
It allows for a zoning certificate to be obtained in order for a building permit to be applied for and obtained. So
I see.
That's all.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
No further questions.
All right. Any further questions? Okay, we can go to Ms. Berry.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Maureen Berry, and I live at 68 Willow Avenue. And I am speaking to you as a resident in objection to the minor variance application before you for number 65. I had submitted some pictures, but we didn't make the deadline for the 24th, but I would reference the presentation page 1. If we had that up on the screen again, would be helpful. As background for this property, St. Aidan's Church divided the land behind the church into 4 lots and then sold them. The addresses are 63, 65, 67, and 69 Willow Avenue. 69 has completed their build and constructed as of right. That is the 3rd picture from the left, is the White House. Number 67 has been to the committee for several variances and was turned down. And you now have before you a similar application for number 65. My husband Dave and I have resided at number 68, which is directly across the street from the property. We've lived here for 23 years, and I am presenting along with my other neighbors an objection to this application. We want to make it clear to the committee, we are not objecting to a house being built at 65 Willow Avenue. We attended the meetings at St. Aidan's Church and appreciated their position that they tried to stay away from a high-density project as it was not in conforming with our neighborhood, and they chose to divide the land into 4 lots and sell them. We know there are 4 houses to be built and 1 has been completed. Although this house did not require a variance, number 69 Willow towers over the other houses on the street. And in accordance with the manse, you'll see the third picture again, the white house, the manse is directly north to it. And it is not in keeping with the rest of the streetscape. The towering effect of this existing house is enhanced by the geography of the street. What we're objecting to is the size and the variances this owner is requesting, and it does not respect the forms of the other homes on our street. The people who have purchased these lots were aware of the size of the lots when they bought, and what the existing bylaw requirements on Willow Avenue would facilitate a reasonable sized home, and in keeping with the existing homes on the street should be adhered to. If they'd done their homework, they would see what they're trying to build is not desirable or of similar size and conforming with the other homes on our street. You have received letters of objection from 14 neighbors, all living on Willow Avenue. You've received pictures showing the current vacant lot, the elevation from the street, the height difference from the neighbor directly to the south, and adjacent houses showing you the typical sizes. The picture of the tall white house in number 69, that house is a 2-story, and so is the manse to the north. You can see as how high these houses are going to be. There are 33 houses on Willow Avenue south of Queen Street and 1 2-story duplex. Most are 2 stories, but there are 3 that are 3-story. In the picture on your screen right now, the very first picture on the left is what's considered a 3-story. It was a 2-story. They renovated and have put that addition on the top, but you'll see that it is right next door to a 3-story apartment building. The 3-story homes are positioned on the street so that they do not stand out and in fact look a similar height to their neighbor due to the street slope. This is a good comparison to show that it is located directly to the south of the 3-story apartment building at Willow and Queen, not similar to the other homes on our street. The next picture to its right also was an original home, similar to the house beside to its right. It was allowed an addition. It is the exact same house as the one to the right of it. The addition is the beige that you see in front. The proposed application is a house being built on a piece of land that is significantly higher than all homes on the street. The south end of the lot has a retaining wall, and the house to the south of it is 5 feet lower. We're asking that this be taken into consideration in your review. A house being built that meets the current bylaw and standards will be considerably higher than the other houses on the street. That we have to accept. However, the application before you, although it's now been amended considerably, is to increase the overall lot coverage for the new build and to exceed the height limits, which will add to the house towering even more over all others. The official plan requires that development will respect and reinforce the character of a community, including its height, its scale, massive, and dwelling type. And this dwelling type does not respect the form of houses on Willow Avenue. The beach is a unique community that has developed over the years from cottages to family homes. What makes the beach unique is the people, but also the varied houses. Willow Avenue is particularly unique in that it is a wide street. It has beautiful old trees and houses that were built in, the houses were built in 2s. So my neighbor and I have the exact same style. The next 2 have a different style, but they're the exact same. And then the next 2 and so on both sides of the street. Most houses have been renovated over the years and there are some new builds, but they all have fit in nicely with the street. The houses on Willow Avenue are not as large as houses on Munro Park or Glen Manor or Pine, to name a few. Additional pictures have been submitted to show you the size and styles of homes on Willow, which were in other documents submitted by other owners. We ask you to turn down this application in consideration of our community. There are 2 more houses to be built on that vacant piece of land. Again, due to the height of the land in comparison to the neighboring houses, houses built on this land will stand so much taller than all others. Even their driveways will have a steep grade. Your decision will set the tone for the other two houses yet to be built and will speak for the residents of Willow Avenue who want their street to remain the size and character that it currently is. You have received 5 letters of support for the applicant. 2 are from people who live on Silver Birch Avenue, north of Queen Street, almost up at Pine. 1 support is a realtor who sold the lots for the church. And 1 is the school located on the east side of this property who will not be affected by this house as it's a 3-story building. And there's 1 from number 69 in support who has just finished his house. There is not 1 letter of support from a homeowner who lives on Willow Avenue. And please note, the owner of this lot has not made any effort to reach out to his new neighbors to discuss what he is proposing to build. Thank you for your time and consideration.
All right, thank you. Panel, do we have any questions of Ms. Berry? Okay. Mr. Romano?
Morning, sir.
Good morning. Do you have something to say with regard to the issues raised by Ms. Berry?
Yes, sir. Just very, very briefly, because I believe I touched upon many of the items that were of concern in my initial presentation. But with respect to number 67, which was an application that was made on a neighboring property some time ago, I think it was perhaps last year or the year before, that was actually for a 4-story building. It was a request for a 4-story dwelling in a floor space index of 1.32 times coverage. So it's a much different building. It's actually a cube, a uniform cube box all the way around. So the subject proposal on this instance is completely different from that. What is proposed here is a modern style 2.5-story building, as I've previously discussed. The height difference is not as dramatic as Ms. Berry has pointed out. Height is measured relative to what the grades are on the property and just off the property at the side lot lines. So a taller height is going to be permitted as a right. 12 meters is permitted. And 12 meters is indeed something that is taller than many of the dwellings on the street, but not all of the dwellings on the street. So the proposal reflects the topography that applies to the subject site, and that undulating topography as one moves from the south end of Willow up towards Queen Street is what one experiences as one is walking along the street. Ms. Berry also pointed out that the neighbor to the south is lower. There is no neighbor to the south. There is a vacant lot to the south for which a building has not been constructed or proposed. So the proposal actually does indeed reflect the difference from north to south in that the south face of the building has mostly a 2-story component, which is less than the wall height that is being applied in this instance, and is certainly less than the the 2-story component, which occupies most of the building's south face, including the flat and the sloped roof component, is lower than the permitted 9.5 meter wall height. The only part that is at the 10.3 meters is at the back of the building, and on the south side. It's the north side. So even the building itself reflects the difference in topography as one is moving from the south to the north in a respectful manner. And in terms of dwelling type, proposed detached dwelling is permitted. And Ms. Berry also pointed out the photographs that I had indicated, and that shows the regeneration that is occurring on Willow itself, including that upper left-hand photograph, which is across the street, which has a floor space index that is larger than what is being proposed on this property today. So subject to any questions, sir, I submit that the proposal does indeed, it is a modern 2.5-story building that fits in compatibly with the neighborhood character, including Willow.
Yes,
Yes, I have one question. Did you come up with the reduction of some of the variances after consultation with the neighbors or with the city? Is it you have
Both.
reduced number of variances? Yeah.
It was both.
Or
Both.
both? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. That's the, so you have been working with the neighbors and right?
Yes, and some neighbors are just not happy with the architectural style and the design, clearly, and I mean I respect that, but it's this is what's being proposed by this owner in this instance.
do you have any comments? Peter?
Are we in committee now?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is a lot of opposition to this, but looking at the variances themselves, they're all quite minor, especially as revised. And I do think that a lot of the objection to this is because of the architectural style, and that's something that I don't think we should be so concerned with necessarily. I think the massing is broken up and stepped back, and to the north, the 3 lots to the north, we have like 3.5 essentially story apartment buildings. So I'll be supporting this. I think it fits in and then kind of shows the evolution of the street.
Yeah, I have another comment. I agree with what Peter just said. And also I think the other difficulty for the neighborhoods is that it is a new building. What I mean is they've been seeing empty or the back of a church open space for a very long time, and it's a little bit harder to accept any kind of new build. And I think that added to the idea is this is oversized and this is out of scale. And in terms, I look at all the variances. The only one that is probably popping up is the FSI. But I'm thinking that if we even given in a new construction in the city, and this lot can accommodate that density. This is in my opinion. And if we have a motion, I will support it for approval, subject to forestry 1 and 2. I don't think there are any other conditions listed. Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment before we bring a motion, or if Yim, you've brought a motion before we second it, that I've been reading a lot of cases from TLAP, and one of the things they're concerned about is compatibility with the physical neighborhood, and they define the neighborhood often as sometimes one side of the street, sometimes both sides of the street, sometimes a little broader area. But it seems to me in this case that the physical character of Willow Avenue is what we should be concerned about here in this house. Even if the variances are modest, etc., doesn't seem to fit with the character of the street. I note that the house that was built next door, the white one, although Ms. Berry was objecting to it on the size of it, I understand it was built within, as of right, within all the bylaws, but it looks like, resembles the houses on the street, and it has a peak roof, etc. And this one is out of keeping with the neighborhood physical characteristic. And so I will not be supporting a motion for approval. Do we have a motion? Yeah, did you make a motion?
you want to discuss more? Yeah, I agree. I agree with the what you just said, but on the other hand, it's only just what is a style, right? Yeah, styles is a living thing too, is evolving. That's my opinion. And because maybe my profession, I do allow. I mean, I do accept different styles, especially in housing types. But I do support the application with the modified, amended variances, plus the forestry 1 and 2 condition. That's my motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
Can I add, Yim? There's also the specific conditions A and B in the forestry report. We could add those too.
Oh,
I think Yim
yes.
mentioned those.
Yes.
Well, there's condition 1 and 2, which are the standard urban forestry conditions, but then there's specific conditions A and B, which are about more technical elements of the development.
Okay. So Yim, is it, you amend your motion to include those? Okay.
I'll second.
All right. All in favor? All opposed? Okay. You have your approval, sir. Thank you.
And just to note, that's with the further amendment made by the applicant at the hearing for variance 4 to 5.5% and 13 square meters.
Yeah, it's the amended variances. Yeah.
Yes, he has a list of amended variances that's in your package, but he further amended variance number 4 at the hearing.
Oh, I don't know that. Yeah.
So variance 4 will be, instead of the 6.1%, it will be 5.5% and
Okay.
13 square meters.
Okay. All right. All right.
Okay. So the motion is amended to the revised variance number 4. All right, the next application is 98 St. Hubert Avenue. The purpose of this application is to construct a 2-story detached dwelling with an integral garage, a covered porch, front yard parking, a rear deck, a rear basement walkout, and a rear second floor balcony. With this application, we have material submitted by the applicant, a correspondence from city planning and transportation, and a staff report from urban forestry. We have 7 form letters in support, in opposition from 117 Cadorna.
We do have a deferral request from the agent on this file.
Oh, okay. All right, so perhaps the agent can tell us why he wants a deferral?
Yes, good morning. My name is Leo Mastandre. I'm the agent for the owners at 98 St. Hubert. We just received a memo from forestry that they would not support the removal of the tree on February 22nd. So we are revising our drawings to address their concerns to try to keep the tree that they're talking about. So we need some time to address forestry, and once we revise our driveway, it may potentially also need transportation input.
All right, so let us go to Mr. and Mrs. Young Hong for their comments on the deferral.
Hi, it's Peter Young Hong here with my wife, Lisa. We live at 96 St. Hubert, which is actually south of 98 St. Hubert. Between our two houses...
Could we have your position, sir? The applicant is requesting a deferral because of some concern from forestry about removal of a tree. So he's going to have to revise his plans. Do you have any objection to a deferral?
With regards to forestry, we have no objections. Our objection is with respect to their side door.
No, we don't want to hear your
objections with respect to the merit. We're only concerned at this time with your position on a deferral.
No, the position was not on the deferral. My position was in opposition to the house being built with a side door that's facing our driveway.
No, sir. Do you agree that the matter be deferred so that the applicant can revise their plans? Or do you want...
Okay, so if I'm on...
Pardon?
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, or do you want the application to proceed today?
I don't understand the question, I'm sorry.
All right. The applicant wants to put this off to another date because they have to revise their plan because they got some objection from forestry with respect to the removal of a tree. So they are saying we do not want to proceed today. We want to put it over to revise, so we can revise our plans. Do you agree to a deferral or do you not agree?
Sure. Now, that being said, that would mean that there will be another date set for the committee adjustments to review at that time?
Yes.
Okay, in that case, yes, sure. We agree with the deferral.
Okay, thank you. Can we hear from Ms. Kazpidis?
Hi there. Hello? Can you hear me now?
Oh.
Perfect. Yeah, so I agree to a deferral of the application.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, so panel, we need to make a decision as to whether we're going to agree to a deferral or not.
I would like to jump in. I will propose for deferral, but maybe also a suggestion that the applicant will do some discussion or consultation with the neighbors. Take the opportunity, though.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's my that's the reason for the deferral. Also, of resolving the three issues with urban forestry.
Okay. Do we have a seconder for the deferral?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Peter. All in favor? You have your deferral, Mr. Mastrandrea. Thank you. Next application is number 855 THYRA Avenue. The purpose of this application is to alter the existing rear one-story detached garage by constructing a front two-story addition and a full second-story addition for the purpose of creating a laneway suite. The existing one-story attached dwelling will not be altered. On this application, you have material submitted by the applicant, correspondence from transportation, a report from engineering, and support from 24 Bryant Avenue. Mr. Dom, can we hear from you?
Yes. Hello?
Okay. Can we have your address, sir?
Yes, my name is Joe Dome, 1101 Steeles Avenue West, agent for the owner.
All right, thank you. Panel, do we need any presentation in this matter? Okay, thank you, Mr. Dome. Do you want to say anything? We're not going to ask you for a presentation, but if you have anything to say, let us. We'll hear from you.
Yeah, I'd just like to say something regarding variance number 1. I'd like to point out that Robert Lee from Transportation has removed his condition 1C in the ECS report, as noted in the attached correspondence, labeled ECS report correspondence on file, and that's pertaining to the lane setback, and they now understand that the proposed lane suite is situated over the existing garage.
Say that again. I didn't hear the last part of what you said. They now understand what?
Yeah, so they now understand that the proposed laneway suite is situated over the existing garage, as you can see.
Oh, okay, so it's an existing condition.
That's right.
So that means condition C in their report would no longer be required, correct?
That's correct, condition 1C.
So
the variance number 1 is still required though, is that right?
Yes, the variance is still required, but but transportation doesn't have any concerns about the lane setback.
Okay, thank you. Any panel members have a question? Okay, do we have a motion?
I'm happy to bring a motion. I think this is reasonable and using the existing footprint of the garage. The variances being requested are reflecting existing conditions. So I move to approve subject to development engineering conditions.
Seconder? Yes. Aaron, second. All in favor? Have your approval, sir. Thank you. Next is number 940 Hopedale Avenue. The purpose of this application is to construct a new 2-story dwelling unit with a rear ground floor deck and front porch. We have in this application material submitted by the applicant as a report from Urban Forestry, support from 37 Hopedale, and 5 form letters in support. We have opposition from 41 Hopedale Avenue. Mr. Higgins, may we hear from you?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I am here and ready to proceed.
All right. Okay, could we have a brief explanation? There's a lot of variances.
Certainly, sir. My clients, Aaron Stoddard and Chris Cook, have lived in this house. It's a bungalow presently for quite a number of years. They have 3 children, a growing family. They need to build this house. So the existing lot is only 7.63 meters wide, and the proposal is to build essentially on what would be the footprint of the existing house. The side yard setbacks that we are requesting are exactly as the existing house. And given the size of the lot, the width of the lot particularly, we would like to see that we can build accordingly. The space between the houses is enough to allow for back and forth to a side door, which is leading into a mudroom. The neighbor to the immediate south has also noted their agreement. I believe you were mentioning that. The variance for the height, if we can go to the drawings, please. The variance for the height occurs only at more or less the middle section of the house above the dashed line, which is the allowable height. So it's a small triangular area. The expectation of our clients is to install solar panels on the south-facing roof. You can see the note there to the left side. And as such, they would like to have a roof of a decent length as well as a decent pitch. And the house to the north at number 42 is to be redeveloped as a 2-story home, so there will be balance achieved there. Our height for the sidewalls is only about 4 inches or 0.13 above the allowable 7 meters. We did remove that, and now that wall height is as per the allowable 7 meters. The planning department asked us to do that, and with that change, the planning department had no opposition to this. We've spoken to many of the neighbors, or excuse me, my clients have hand-delivered approximately 15 packages to all neighbors. In that letter that went out months ago, because this was deferred, we were very specific saying to those neighbors, if you have any concerns, we have a deadline and we must hear from you, please, before that deadline. We were a bit surprised when the neighbor across the street at number 41 submitted a letter of opposition at the last minute. We weren't aware of that in any way until we were informed or I was informed by my staff. I would point out, and we did submit immediately, photographs of the street, not only looking from above with satellite views, but also straight on photographs of number 41. We don't think that they made it in time. I think we were a day late, but nevertheless, they show that in front of number 41 and number 39, Hopedale are very large trees, and those trees themselves will do all the blocking of the sunlight for most of the year to the person at number 41 who is upset about our small height variance. The committee should know that we don't have any side dormers, we don't have any side gables. We have, yes, a height variance for the roof only in the center section, and we think that's reasonable, particularly because the immediate neighbors on either side are fine with what we're proposing, and we would like to have the solar panels. In terms of any other variances, we believe that the 70.75 times the area lot for the floor space index is in keeping with the neighborhood. It's still a modestly sized house in the end. In terms of the eaves, we have, if you go back to the facade, there is virtually no overhang for the eaves. It's only the thickness of the width of the eaves trough itself. We think that's a very minor variance. We've added a porch. It is stylized. This is a transitional style home. The porch, we think, mitigates to some degree that little extra height we have on the upper part of the roof and creates more of a horizontal banding along with some of the sill lines that you can see on that facade to create to the eye a more horizontal look.
Mr. Higgins, your time is up. Could you just sum up?
Well, I'm going to sum up by saying that we certainly understand the neighbor across the street, but they are about 80 feet away. The overage is very small in terms of the height. The neighbor has trees that block their sun, and given the support that we have from the neighborhood, I'd like to think that you will see this as an application that would be worthwhile in the neighborhood, and we'll meet with your approval.
Thank you. Panel, any questions of Mr. Higgins? All right, do we have any comments or a motion?
I'll go ahead with a motion. I think this is a reasonable and quite actually sensitive development, and remaining in line with the existing footprint of the house, I think is it's a positive way to approach this. And I think the height concern is very minor, and I think the people who've raised the concerns are across the street, and so the impact on them would be minimal or not at all, I think. Plus, having the two neighbors, abutting neighbors in support, I think is a good vote of confidence. So I support this application, put forward a motion to approve, subject to urban forestry condition 2.
Do we have a seconder?
I would second that. I agree with what Peter just said.
Pardon? All right, all in favor? You have your approval, sir. Thank you. Yeah, well, my problem is that the screen is there. I'm trying to... Okay, next is number 10, 1044 Greenwood Avenue. The purpose of this application is to construct a 2-story detached dwelling with a front porch and rear walkout. The existing 1-story dwelling was demolished and construction was undertaken without permits. On this application, we have material submitted by the applicant. We have correspondence from Transportation and a report from Urban Forestry. Mr. Moot, are you ready to proceed?
Good morning. Jeffrey Moot, Principal, Moot Architect, 139 Carlaw Avenue, agent on behalf of the owner at 1044 Greenwood Avenue.
Yeah, perhaps you could give us a brief presentation.
Yes, sir. In this particular case, we have a fairly modest sized detached single-family dwelling standing 2 stories tall with a building depth of 11.23 meters. The proposed build sits atop the existing foundation of the previous dwelling, which was unfortunately removed by the contractor prematurely. That is to say that the above grade portions of the previous dwelling were removed, leaving only the foundation. The removal of the dwelling meant that certain aspects of the submission would no longer be recognized as existing conditions, such as the placement of the north wall and front setback, as an example. The other element that remains intact on the site, I should mention, is the garage located at the rear of the property. The existing foundation and the rear garage have triggered variances 1, 7, 8, 9, and 10 on your zoning notice that you have in front of you. Regarding the remaining variances included on the notice, our belief is that the deficiencies are modest in nature and in scale and are in line with recent builds along this stretch of Greenwood and in the neighborhood. I've attempted to highlight those items in the planning rationale that was uploaded to the AIC. Hopefully you've had a chance to review those items. I would be happy to clarify further or to answer any questions. Thank you very much.
All right, does anybody have any questions? Oh, where's Yim? Where'd she go?
It's possible she's having connection issues and her video is turned off.
Are you talking? Okay, I have one question. I missed how much of the existing house being demolished. Okay.
So at this stage, all of the above grade, so the main floor, was demolished and the existing foundation remains.
What is the plan to demolish the whole house and leave the foundation? I do not understand why the whole house is being demolished and that's the plan, then apply for new house.
Unfortunately, there is a new project team on board at this stage. Unfortunately, my client fell victim to a contractor that misrepresented the truth, I will say, or disregarded the rules in terms of the timing of the demolition. And so it was meant to be a substantial renovation. Unfortunately, the walls were removed prior to a permit issuance, and which had triggered a number of these variances, which would have been considered.
Oh, I understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I understand the variances that if there's a house there, you have to apply for this.
Yes.
But what I do not understand is they demolished the house without a demolition permit. That's what you mean, right? That's what you're saying.
That's correct.
And entire house is already gone.
Okay. The previous dwelling has been removed, and the plan is to build atop of the existing foundation with a new structure.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did we lose Peter?
Hey, Peter, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, there just seems to be a video issue, so maybe
there
after
he is.
this item, we can take 5 minutes just to see if we can fix that.
Can we?
Just so you know, I could see Yim when you guys could not.
Yeah, it seems to be that when Yim is here, you're not here, and when you're here, Yim is here. But everyone seems to be here now, so fingers crossed.
Okay.
All right.
Can we hear from the
Okay.
Actually, I can see everybody except you. Okay. I can see Peter, I can see Aaron, and I can see Don.
I can see all of you at all times.
Okay. All right, so can we hear from the next speaker?
So are we in discussion? Or?
No, we're waiting for the next next speaker.
Sarah Oxley,
Oh,
you've been
okay.
unmuted.
Oh, hi. Sorry. I reside. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Just a one question in regards. I'm the
Sorry,
neighbor
you need to
behind
state
the
your name and
new build.
address.
Can you give
Oh,
us your name and your address, please?
my name is Sarah Oxley. I'm at 111 Frankdale and the house behind the house being currently built. I was just wondering if they're going to be keeping the trees that are currently, the mature trees that are currently in the back of the yard.
Is that your only concern?
Yes.
All right, we'll have Mr. Moot address that. Mr. Moot?
There is an urban forestry condition put forth on the file, which of course we plan to respect. And so, yes, there are no plans to injure or remove any of the trees at the rear.
Okay, thank you. Also, another question is there a plan of any pool being built or inputted in the backyard in any future?
Not as part of this application and not that I am aware of.
Okay. Is the fence that's shared, the back lot fence, a problem?
Not that I am aware of.
Okay. That's all I want to clarify. Thank you. So
Thank you.
just to clarify, the trees will remain.
That is correct.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mr. Moore.
Thank you. All right, does the panel have any questions? All right, do we have a motion?
I can move for approval subject to forestry condition number 2. Because I only have 2 questions before why they require side setbacks. But since I listened to the reason that because the building on a existing foundation and this it is a result from the existing condition, so I'm okay with that. So I move for approval.
All right, thank you.
I'll second that.
All right, Peter second. All in favor? Have your approval, sir. Thank you. Next application is number 1128 Bernard Avenue. The purpose of this application is to alter the existing 2-story semi-detached dwelling by constructing a rear 2-story addition with a rear basement walkout, rear 2nd-story deck with stair access, and a rear 2nd-story rooftop deck. Before us on this application, we have material submitted by the applicant, reports from planning and urban forestry, support from 31 Bernard, and opposition from 26 and from the Annex Residents Association. Mr. Ho?
Hi, speaking.
All right,
Hi.
can you give us a presentation, sir, a brief presentation?
Sure. Yeah, my name is Jason Ho. I'm the owner's agent from Pos Design Inc. Address 222 Coxwell Avenue. And the reason for us to ask for this this development is that the client is spreading or expanding his family, and he has intention to use the home as a multi-generational home. The heritage designation for the structure limits the opportunity for additions. So we jointly decided that going off the backside of the development is the least invasive to the main structure. There are several variants that was identified in the zoning letter. The first one is that the rear yard soft landscaping is less than the 50% required for the rear yard. So the existing backyard landscaping is already less than 50%. Like the proposal does not propose any alteration to the rear yard. However, the owner has agreed that we will include a development of the green roof on the roof of the addition to offset the rear yard softscaping. And he has further agreed that if need be, we are happy to install more softscaping in the backyard to satisfy that requirement. As for the length of the building, currently the length already exceeds the 17 meters depth. So we would like to propose a 3.9 meter deep brick structure addition in place of the 3.3 meter two-story deck that's existing. And lastly, the floor space index, it's a little bit larger, 0.1 times, or 1.0.1 times larger than the permissible landscaping. So it's just permissible development size. So we're just very slightly over. So that's
Okay, thank you. Panel, do we have any questions of Mr. Ho?
Just one quick one. Variance number 2. What's the existing length already?
The existing length of the house?
Yes, or depth. I'm sorry, the depth.
Existing depth of the house is 20.2 meters.
20.2. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're asking less than 3 meter more, right? 20.2. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all. That's my question.
All right,
Thank you.
Mr. Ho, is that space now taken up by a deck?
Yes. So in the footprint that we are proposing the structure, there's currently a two-story deck, and the proposed structure is another 0.6 meters deeper than the footprint of the deck.
Okay. Thank you.
Hi.
Can we go to Ms. Volk?
I have a quick question.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yeah,
sorry.
so it's okay, no worry. Can you go to A203, the drawings, A203 design elevation? So I've been having a similar question like Ian is asking. So you basically have 3 major masts, but plus an exterior staircase, like a circular staircase at the back, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the existing building is basically from the front, from the left all the way to the second block, and your breakfast room, workroom, the deck, and the staircase are the new expansion. Am I right?
Yes, that's correct.
And then the green roof is going to be on above the workroom.
Yes.
It's a flat green roof. Okay.
Yeah.
Understood. Okay. And here, because I've been reading these applications before the hearing, and I was wondering, you call it option B, it's just one of the options you chose to apply, right? There's no option A submitted.
No, sorry. I'm sorry. That was. I forgot to take off the option B in the title block.
Okay. Okay. I just want to confirm that. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Any further questions? Okay, let's move on to Ms. Volk.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Patricia Volk, 26 Bernard Avenue. I'm a business analyst at Telephone Canada. I've been working from home since March 2020, along with my partner and our 3 teenagers. I'm the owner of 26 Bernard, which is a house very similar in size and structure to 28 Bernard. Both 24 and 26 Bernard Avenue were owned by my parents since the early 1970s, and my mother is still the owner of 24 Bernard. She's asked me to relay that she is equally in opposition of the proposed plan for 28. Our backyard is the most important room in the house during the spring and summer. We spend every day outside eating and playing games. The proposed addition will be longer than the current structure and will equally boast a rooftop deck, a deck extension on the second floor, as well as a staircase. This will be a massive structure that will loom over our backyard for almost the entire length of it. We will essentially be looking at a brick wall with a bay window. In my letter, I have provided a picture from my backyard facing that of 28 Bernard. On the picture is a red line indicating where I estimate the structure to finish. This is not a minor addition and will increase the density of constructed surface dramatically and block out the afternoon sun. I learned about the addition beginning of February and was not able to provide a picture of the summer evening sun. I did provide a picture of the February sun from a few weeks ago. Of course, the summer sun is much higher and stronger, and my backyard basks in the sunset. In our family evenings outside, we have enjoyed the sun, commenting on how important it is for our well-being. The proposed addition would block this entirely. I have noted that there are some format letters in support of this project. They are from 23, 25, 27, and 31 Bernard. These houses are all across the street. I understand that the front of the house will not be changed, so these houses will not be impacted by the construction in any way. The front of 28 Bernard has not changed since the previous owners and will continue to remain the same. I agree that Sean Soon is a good neighbor, but this is about the quality of life for everyone in the neighborhood. I urge the committee not to allow the second floor addition at 28 Bernard Avenue. Thank you for your time and attention.
Panel, any questions? Okay, we move on to Mr. Nenadovic.
Hi, it's Neil Nenadovic, owner of 30 Bernard, the house attached to 28 Bernard, and I am speaking in opposition to this application. I think the proposed depth of the addition is excessive for the lot, and there is no setback. The current wood structure is an open wood structure and is set back from the property line. I will be looking at a solid two-story wall that will loom over my backyard, block the morning sun for half a day. The rooms of my house that face into the backyard is the kitchen on the first floor, the main bedroom on the second floor, both rooms that are heavily used in the morning that will be denied sunlight if this is approved. Just backing up to give the context of Bernard Avenue, it's a very cohesive neighborhood. Everybody's on a first name basis. Everybody, communicates well, and everybody has a small urban backyard. And in fact, the street on an annual basis has the Bernard Garden Party to celebrate their backyards, and 5 or 6 different houses on a rotational basis will host. People will go from backyard to backyard, wine glass in hand to, celebrate, socialize, have a drink, and speak with their neighbors. I've been in almost every backyard on Bernard Avenue and can say that this structure is definitely out of character for any other house on the street, either on the north side or the south side. I'm also, concerned about, no west elevation has been provided with the plan, so I have no idea what it will look like from the perspective of my property. I can, assume the worst, that it's going to be a cinder block, 2-story wall blocking the sun. Also, 28 and 30 Bernard are not small houses. They are very large houses, especially for townhouses. They were originally constructed to be a 5-bedroom house. So there's ample square footage in the current built form for multiple uses. And so need an addition to accommodate, additional, families, members. There's plenty of space in the houses as they exist. And then lastly, I have received no contact from the owner. I was shocked when I received news of this application. The owner does have all my contact details and has contacted me in the past on various other matters, but has not reached out to me in any way, shape, or form to discuss this. So I just feel this is, completely out of character for the neighborhood. It's overbearing on my property, both a two-story wall with the deck and staircase will, look over half my backyard, block the sun, and is really, appeals to the committee not to approve this. It is overbearing and will only have a negative impact severely on my property, and I think on, the character of the backyards on Bernard Avenue. Thank you.
Panel, any questions? All right, can we hear from Mr. Ho?
Yeah, so in response to the sunlight, we have conducted a shadow study on request of the community planning staff on November 1st of 2020. It's revealed that the shadow impact on the adjacent properties are mostly occurring in the later afternoons. In addition to that, there are a number of mature trees in the adjacent backyards that already has a significant shading on the neighboring structures. So we have tried our best to mitigate the impact by restricting the footprint, and we hope the committee would consider the application on the merit of the owner's needs.
All right, do panel members have any questions of Mr. Ho? Okay, we go into committee. Do we have a motion? Do we have some comment?
Oh, okay, I can jump in because some of the opposition's opinions about sunlight, and it seems to be said sunlight is a major concern, but when I look at the site plan, the orientation, I really do not see it as a major impact because of the orientation. Maybe in the afternoon or in the summer probably have a little bit more impact, and I'm glad that they did do a shadow study and have proven that. Other than that, they're asking for 3 variances. But the condition imposed by the planning report with the green roof, only 14 square meters. In practical sense, I'm not too sure whether you can build a green roof that size and maintain it. But that's our concern, I guess. But this is only a question whether the condition is realistic.
All right, any further comment?
No,
I have the same expression too when I asked the applicant, is that where the green roof is? And it's flat, right? Technically speaking, it's almost impossible to do it, but if this is what it is in the condition, we'll see how it resolves. I also noticed that the shadow mostly cast over Davenport side, and behind the building is a commercial property, so I don't think the shadow is an issue. But in terms of privacy, again, the backyard is facing a commercial property. I don't think it would create any problem. So like to me, I understand the concerns from the neighbors, but when you look at it from a more macro point of view, I don't see those problems really is implicating to the neighbors as much as they claim.
Yeah. Thank you, Aaron. Go back to the green roof, but because in technical sense, I know that when you build a green roof, you cannot build up to the edge. You have to leave about 2 feet because that's technically it's not possible to build it right to the curb. So I'm not too sure even the conditions is put in based on the drawing is too optimistic to have that area. It will be but a lot smaller even if it's possible to be built. That's my opinion.
Okay.
All right, any further comment? Okay, do we have a motion?
Oh, Aaron, you ready to move?
I was waiting for you to move it, but I can move it as well. I would like to recommend the committee to support this application. I think there is some. Is there any conditions from
Forestry too. Yeah, urban forestry.
Number 2 with that condition.
Are you putting on the green roof condition too, or are you?
Yes, I mean it is already as a. I mean, I understand the
recommendation. Yeah.
Is the problem because they they said they want to do it, so yes, we'll do it.
Okay.
Do we have a seconder? Yes, Peter, second. All in favor? You have your approval, sir. Thank you. Next application is number 1288 Kilberry Road, and the purpose of this application is to construct a new 3-story detached dwelling with a rear ground floor deck, a front integral below-grade garage, and a rear 3rd-story balcony. And we have before us material submitted by the applicant and reports from planning and urban forestry. Mr. Wengel?
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chair. Richard Wengel, 102 Avenue Road.
Can we hear from you what this application is about?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. If we could just go to our presentation material. And I think we can just go to page 2. That's a site plan. So this is a proposal for a new 3-story dwelling for our clients. This is a site plan that just shows a portion of the lot. It's quite deep. It keeps extending beyond. It should be noted the unusual characteristic of the lot, that there is a 1.2 meter slope from the east side, which is on the right, upwards to the left, which is the west. And from the front to the back, which is at the top of the page, is approximately a 3-meter drop from the front of the property to where the terrace is proposed. The red line just shows the permitted envelope of the dwelling, and the green is the existing home that is to be demolished and replaced. Our clients have a growing family. Their children are attending school in the area, and they've decided to build here. One of their concerns was they do have a number of vehicles because they are coming from up north. They wanted to have some storage. So part of the integral garage is really a solution that's more of an urban solution, which if we go to page number 3, we can just show you. You'll see there's a length of dwelling variance. What we are trying to do is put one of the parking spaces by a car lift underneath the driveway. So it's completely subterranean. And we've done this before at committee, and they've agreed before that this is a good way to store vehicles as opposed to having a multitude of garage doors. Instead, we have a single garage door with a lift that leads us down, and we can actually back a car up under the driveway. So it's completely unseen. And then, as again, a contributor to the length is we do have a 3-meter drop off to the back of the lot. And what we are doing is creating a walkout underneath a terrace. So the terrace is in line with the house, ground floor. And that ground floor is less than 0.9 meters above the grade at the front of the house. So it's just a couple of steps up to the main level, and then the house completely drops off. So we are occupying some space underneath the terrace for an extended exercise room and recreation room. But again, if that was filled with soil, that wouldn't contribute to the actual length of the dwelling. If we just go to page number 4, this is a statistical comparison of other approvals of densities in the area. We are asking for 0.8084 or 80.84%, and you'll see just to the west of us in the next block there's houses that have been approved at 88, 99, and 83%. So we fall well within the range of other houses in this area that have sought approval from the committee for density. And then we'll just go to page number 5. And this is one back, sorry, there's 2, that's it, thank you. So this is just showing length of dwelling approvals. In the past page, we showed you that our house typically will sit within the 17-meter length above grade, but just below it extends out into the front, below the garage driveway, and into the back under the terrace. And you'll see other examples just circled that exceed our length that we are requesting. Again, these have been approved at committee before. Page number 6. And I'll just wind up. We'll just show you the characteristics of the lot. There's a bit of a hump up from the street up to the main level of the house, and then it drops off completely. So what you're seeing really is the terrace at the back, which creates the extra length, and you can see the garage just shown dotted in below the grade at the front of the house. It's completely subterranean. And then we can just go to page number 7. It's show you a contemporary design, and essentially the 3rd floor is set back from the front of the house and back from the rear. So why it's a 3-story house is because the 2 side walls are straight up. If we were treating this as a gabled side traditional house, we would simply just be adding a sloped roof to the front and hiding this component. So it is set back. We have no correspondence from any of the neighbors. We did drop off packages to all surrounding neighbors, have had no correspondence, and we did have a few conversations with planning, and they are in agreement and can support this. And we are aware of the urban forestry conditions tied to this, and as well as the planning department had requested that we could provide some 1.5 meter high planters on either side of our terrace at the rear, and we are in agreement with that should the committee deem this to be reasonable and approve it. And I can answer any questions if you'd like.
Panel, any questions? Mr. Wengel, do I understand that the garage underground does not extend past the end of the terrace?
That's correct. It's set back within, so you can see a dotted line on the site plan. If we just go back one more, and you'll see at the top of the page, there's a dotted line underneath the terrace. That's the actual extent of the recreation room right there. And if we want to go to the basement plans that we just saw before, you can see that there's in the middle is the lift, and there's a fore and an aft space. So one of the garages is in the back part of the home, but again, well within the 17 meters, and the other one is underneath the driveway. And we've used this on a few occasions in this area, and we think it's a much better solution than providing double doors and lots of garage versus just a single entry door.
Right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, can we go to Mr. Guy?
Yeah, hi, thank you for giving me this opportunity. So I'm Sangeet Guy. We are at 11 Killarney Road, which is at the back of the proposed project on 88 Kilbarry. So thank you, Mr. Wengel. We have not received any packages in our mailbox, so I have not seen the plans in detail except from the letter that came from the city. There are 2 concerns that I would like to raise. One is, just wanted to start with, Kilbarry is at a higher level, as you know, as compared to Killarney, which is at the backside. There's a slope from Kilbarry to Killarney, so the elevation is higher on Kilbarry Road. I think one of the variances that is being asked is the height of the detached dwelling to be 10.94 meter, as opposed to the 7.2 meters that is allowed by the city. And I think this is, the house will really tower over our backyard. So our backyard would be, just behind this house. And the second question that I had was the deck, which was to be planned at 3 meters above the ground. And again, I think that would really tower over, and we would lose all privacy in our backyard at 11 Killarney. So I did have those concerns, and I would like to hear back from the builder on that. Thank you.
Mr. Wengel?
Yes, thank you. And just for the record, I'm just the architect, not the builder. And so what I can say is we did drop off packages to all the neighbors that had adjoining properties. They were couriered to everyone. So I apologize if you didn't get that, because it's our policy to have them delivered. It should be noted that this lot is 45.73 meters deep. So that's approximately 150 feet in length, and we do not have a rear yard setback. As I said, that our elevation of our deck and our house is just sitting approximately at elevation 168.18, which is actually lower than the neighbor to the left and a little higher than the neighbor to the right because there's a cross slope. Our clients are planning to put in new trees along the back regardless, and the way we've set our plan up is that, again, even though we have a height variance, if this was a sloped roof house, we would then be compliant. We'd be under the 11 meters. So essentially all we've done is take off the slope at the back and created just more of a vertical wall that's set back a bit. I think the landscaping will help to mitigate any concern. The terrace itself, again, it's at the same level as the ground floor. It's just that the lot drops off. And again, if I didn't have anything underneath this terrace, and I decided just to do it as a landscape terrace filled in with soil, there wouldn't be a variance on this. So it's just for the fact that I'm actually using the space below it that it's contributing to that. Otherwise, it wouldn't be considered a landing at that point. But I think there's ample room for extra landscaping in the back, and it's something that we will talk to the owners about. Certainly that we could meet with you after to discuss how we can help mitigate your concern with trees, because they obviously would like their own privacy as well.
So, Mr. Wingle, the terrace is not to be, have planters at 1.5 meters? Is that another deck?
No, that's our main terrace. Maybe we can just go to a larger site plan on our package. Okay, there, yeah, we have a colored one that's a little, there we go. So the terrace at the back, again, that's level with the ground floor of the house. We can just blow that up a bit, it'll be easier to see. And you can see that that terrace itself is just level with the house. We step down one step, 6.5 inches down onto it. And what his planning has requested from us is on the east side and the west side that we install planters for neighbors' privacy. But again, we still comply with the rear yard setback, and we will have an opportunity to landscape at the back, so there won't be any overview to the neighbor's property, because they will want to shield themselves as well, as most of our clients do.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Panel members, any questions? Okay, we can go into committee. Any comments, or do we have a motion?
Oh, I'd like to make a comment. It's just, I know this is a very large lot, and it's asking for a new building. And it sort of bothered me a little bit that this with the setbacks, it's trying to push a little bit, a foot here and a foot there, and the depth. Although I just say that it can easily accommodate the side setbacks, and it's still a very, very large house. But having said that, I don't think that there's enough reason for me to not approving, not supporting it. But I just want to mention it. It's almost like accumulatively, they try to push everything, and then it's not that important. I think if you just want to gain a foot here and a foot there, and then it's a very, very large house. It's over 630. It's 631 square meter altogether. If you comply with the side yard setback, you still have a very large house. That's my comment.
All right. Any other comments, or do we have a motion? Peter?
Yeah, I'll bring forward a motion. I agree that with Yim's comment, and I think it's something we see often about people just, pushing and pushing. But I think that this proposal is reasonable. I think is reflective of what's happening in that neighborhood, particularly. And the fact that the terrace in the back, the length variance was my major concern, but it's basically for usable space in the basement. So I think it's a reasonable application. So I move to approve, subject to the planning condition for the rear deck planters on the east and west sides, and urban forestry condition number 2.
Do we have a second?
A second.
Okay, all in favor? All right, thank you. You have your approval, Mr. Wingle. Okay, the next application is 76 Abbott Avenue. And the purpose of this application is to alter the existing 2-story detached dwelling by constructing a front 2-story addition, a rear 2-story addition, a rear covered veranda, and a rear detached garage. With this application, we have material submitted by the applicant, a report from Urban Forestry, opposition from 78 Abbott. Mr. Reitze?
Mr. Ritz, good morning. It's Craig Ritz, agent for the owners at 53 Chauncey Avenue.
I messed up your name, I'm sorry.
It's quite all right.
Go ahead.
So we, as you mentioned, we did submit a brief that is on file that's explaining the causes of the required variances. We hope that the members of the committee had time to review this. As per our brief, the variances would not be required if this dwelling was proposed on any other lot on the north side of Abbott Avenue running west from the subject property. The grading condition changes significantly at the adjacent lane, as you can see in the photo that you're showing there, which results in the established grade being lower than the neighboring properties. And the impact of this significant grade change causes the established grade to be closer to the basement floor level than to the main floor level, which ultimately triggers the requirement for the basement area to be included in the gross floor area calculation. As you can see, this is illustrated in diagram C in the brief on page 4. You can see the highlighted area. If this highlighted area was finished grade, the GFA and main wall height variances would not be required. So it's the inclusion of the basement area which creates the gross floor area variance, and without having to include the basement area, the proposed dwelling would actually be 10% below the maximum allowable GFA for the site at 57.4%. And as noted in the brief, there's no basement walkout condition or direct access to grade from the basement at all. The intent of the bylaw is not to address anything that we're proposing here. It's just an unfortunate existing condition, but this bylaw is in place to address basement levels that are raised up to grade for access, or garages that are introduced to the front elevations with direct access to the basement level, which obviously is not the case in this proposal. Again, no other dwelling along the north side of Abbott would be required to include the basement area in the GFA calculation, and that's triggered by this condition here, which moves our established grade closer to the basement level. Further to the top of wall, of course, it's impacted the same based on established grade, creates a variance that would otherwise not be required. And just as we're speaking to the issues of the soft landscaping, the flanking laneway also impacts the area of soft landscaping significantly, as the northeast corner is angled, and where it's squared off, the corner is a typical lot backing onto the laneway. The soft landscaping variance would not be required, as this would allow for more than enough additional soft landscaping to meet the minimum requirement. And further to this issue, the existing retaining wall, the drop in grade at the edge of the laneway, also reduces the area of rear yard where soft landscaping could be installed. You can see this on the site plan if you're looking along the eastern extent of the site plan in the rear yard. You can see the property line. There's a little strip, that runs right along that eastern edge of the property, which is down at the laneway level, which is paved. So given the change in grade, we can't provide soft landscaping in that location. So this, that portion along the eastern extent of the rear yard actually accounts for 9.7% of the total rear yard. So if we were able to provide soft landscaping there, we'd be well above the minimum requirement. These variances are all as a result of lot-specific conditions, and I think a prime example of why this form exists, and where typical bylaws may be a little punitive here, where certain lot conditions are present, and we feel that given these lot conditions, that the proposed variances are truly minor in nature. We do understand there's some concerns from the adjacent neighbor at number 78. I know that the owners have had discussions with them. We're aware that they're not in favor, and we've seen the letter that's on file and their concerns.
Mr. Ritz, we're going to hear from the neighbors, so we'll give
Sure.
them an opportunity to speak to their issues after they've spoken.
Sure.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Panel, do you have any questions of Mr. Ritz? Okay. We go on to Mr. Hughes. Ms. Brebner.
Hi, this is Nicole Brebner and my husband, Dr. Ken Hughes, and we're the owners of 78 Abbott Avenue. And actually, if you could keep it on the plan where you see the backyard, Our main concern, obviously, is how this impacts our one-story family room that's at the back of our house. We will be losing all of the light on that side of our one-story home. We don't object to an addition going up, and we've resigned ourselves to losing that window. However, the proposed addition extends far out beyond our family room and into where our back deck is, which will effectively wall us in. We're the only neighbors for this house. So, you know, we have talked to the neighbors. We do understand what they want to do. We feel like if they just took it back a few feet so that it's level with our family room, we would still have the light in our backyard that we're going to lose by being walled in. And they're very, very close to the property line. That you can see the space between the homes is very tight as it is. So it's effectively creating an even longer corridor. And so for that reason, we are objecting. And then also with the soft landscaping, I mean, we are losing 2 mature trees. We're also resigned to that fact, but any soft landscaping will never replace losing those mature trees as far as the quality of the greenscape in the backyard. So we would, and you can also see from the plan that most of their soft landscaping will actually be on the laneway side of the house, so doesn't help us in any way in maintaining what we currently have, which is a really beautiful but small backyard with beautiful tree coverage. So our family room will be looking at a wall. Our master bedroom will lose the morning sun as we'll be looking at a wall. So, you know, we're concerned that if they just took it back a few feet, it would make an enormous difference without really sacrificing anything on their side.
All right, thank you. Panel, do you have any questions?
If I could respond to.
Yeah, just a minute. Any questions, panel? Okay. Mr. Ritz?
Hello. Hi. We certainly understand that, you know, most people do not like significant changes to, you know, what they're accustomed to, or to additions being built beside them. I will say that to the issue of the side yard setback and to allowable building length, neither one of these items are requested as a variance. They are both being proposed as of right. In fact, if you look at the site plan that we have up now, you can see the line of the allowable maximum building depth. And we're in fact proposing something with a rear main wall that's more than 5 feet behind that line of maximum allowable depth. So, you know, as of right, this building could in fact be further back. Again, what we're proposing here was proposed on the lot number 78. No variances would be required whatsoever, and we would be able to build this entirely as of right. As I outlined earlier, the main issues that come up against are lot specific, related to the established grade at the front, and then again the soft landscaping issue arising out of the fact we do have an irregular lot, the angled corner in the back, and a portion of that rear yard actually being down at the laneway level and unable to provide soft landscaping there.
All right. So panel, do you have any questions? Right, we lost Jim again. Jacob?
Hey, Yim, are you there?
I'm here. I can see you.
Yeah, it just seems like your video is lost on our end. Now Peter is lost, so maybe
there you are. Now
you guys
can.
I'm here.
I can see all of us, except you. I can see everyone on the panel.
Okay. Any comments or any questions of the Mr. Ritz, or we can go into committee and any comments, or do we have a motion?
I have a couple comments. I mean, I think that it was outlined clearly that a lot of the variances we're looking at are almost technical because of the basement and the grade issue. And I mean, the neighbors' concerns about losing sunlight, I think, are real, even though there's no depth variance being requested. So I'm slightly concerned about that. But the other thing, the two trees that are coming down, especially the willow tree, which is in the applicant's backyard, it's a very large tree, and I wonder if this application were a little more modest in terms of length, that tree could be saved, because I think losing that tree is a real detriment to the neighborhood and the community.
How do we
So
know,
I'm on the
Peter,
fence.
how do we know, Peter, if the tree can be saved if they reduce the depth of the addition? Because, you know, you still have to be concerned about the roots underground.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure, and I don't know. It's more of a question as to the other panel members if they have any insight to that.
I do agree with your concern. I have a bit of concern too, not just in the tree in the backyard, but also in the neighbor's backyard. It suggests to remove one tree, right? How is that being done? Can you remove someone else's tree because you want to build your addition? This is all question, and I like the applicant to respond to that, because I'm not too sure I know the solution for that, or the agreement. The urban forestry is allowing you to remove those trees, and is that what it is?
Urban forestry hasn't commented on the trees, but that's not to say they wouldn't. They are not shown on the site plan submitted with the application. So they may not be aware of any trees on the neighboring property.
Yeah, they just put down some general comments. If it is injuring the tree, then you have to do such and such, but they didn't mention anything about this particular trees.
Yeah.
But we are a committee now, right? Can we go back?
Yes, we are committed. What I try to remind the panelists that in the past we have applications like this that the foundation or the construction work will damage the tree. The applicant will provide arborist a plan or guidance on how to do it. Your special foundation or during construction, how to avoid it. And I'm not too sure that this one, we haven't received any kind of plan or how this is done. And as the secretary was saying, that even the urban foresters may not be aware of this, how to remove these trees or allowed to remove these trees. I just got a bit concerned and confused the process.
Because even if we say, if we approve it and subject to urban forestry further comment or approval, we are leaving a question down the road. I think I'm more inclined to reject the application, and hopefully they can provide more information. I mean, there are after this, there are other processes, there's TLAP, and, you know, things that they can continue with the application, and at that time they can probably come up with all those information and convince the neighbor and the TLAP. I think that's how I would put it. I would rather be safe than allowing it to happen without knowing how it's going to be unfolded. That's my comment. So I wouldn't recommend to approve this case.
So does urban forestry inspect the property when there's an application, or do they just rely on the drawings?
So they would send an inspector to, they have inspectors you know, driving around, and if you could call them or file an application, they will send one of the inspectors to have a look, go back and write reports, and then come back and make comments. So the manager will approve it, and then they give them the approval. So there is such process, but there is also a process that you can just go ahead and do it, and then you pay for the penalty.
So
that's I've seen many construction done that too. They just basically go ahead and do it and see how it works and see how the neighbors is going to react. And then if the tree comes down, then oh, too bad, we'll pay for that 20,000 penalty or whatever.
So it's
I mean, we've
possible,
seen that on the news too.
so it's possible they're not aware of the fact that there are trees coming down.
Yeah.
Yes, I
heavily rely on the neighborhood watch. They have to check the. Yeah.
So I thought that if the applicant is preparing for application, this should have been approved. I mean, maybe the Urban Forestry Department would have been approached to discuss this. And I'm not too sure whether this, I'm just thinking of another idea is to defer the case rather than to refuse it, so that they can actually work with the Urban Forestry Department and come back. This is, of course, we can ask the applicant's opinion on that, but that's another idea.
So perhaps we can ask Ms. Brebner and Mr. Ritz if Urban Forestry actually inspected or are aware that the trees are coming down. Right. Ms. Brebner?
Yes?
Were you in contact with Urban Forestry about the removal of the tree?
We were not, but the neighbors did ask if they could ask for permission to remove it. We don't know whether they received permission or not.
Okay, Mr. Ritz, could you enlighten us, please?
I can. If you bring the site plan up, it actually is indicated on the site plan that we have made. We've engaged an arborist. We do have applications in with Urban Forestry now. The large tree on the property line is obviously a concern. See, they're boxed out. We've got permit to destroy has been submitted. It's indicated on the site plan. This tree in particular on the property line is of concern to my clients at 76. There has been significant issues with the tree, very large limbs. Fairly recently, one came down, destroyed the fence between the properties. So there is obviously a concern there, but again, we have engaged an arborist. We have an application in with Urban Forestry, and we would certainly, have to adhere to whatever it is that they come back to us with. And if part of that involves requiring special treatment of that foundation, if we can excavate there, if we have to look at the use of helical piers, we certainly would do so. Again, at this stage, we're obviously discussing zoning issues, and then we would defer to Urban Forestry at that stage with everyone's arborist and see what's required. But there certainly is some health concerns of the tree along with obviously in addition to.
So may I ask you if you have included your arborist report in this application? That is not being shown here, or?
It is not, no.
But when did you file that Urban Forestry application?
This has been months ago, months and months. I'd have to look into it, but I would say 6 months ago. It's kind of at the outset of the process.
Okay. So I mean, if we trust what you said, and Urban Forestry hasn't responded even after 6 months, then that's a different story. I mean, it's something that I think if it is already in the system, then I think we can, I mean, I would change my mind now that I think it is approvable, but based on the, that tree has to be resolved with Urban Forestry. That would be the condition that I would be supporting.
And we would obviously, we are a condition, we have condition number 2, of course, subject to Urban Forestry. We would certainly be complying with whatever is requested or, dealing with whatever issue arises from that application. So we're, we're certainly amenable to whatever it is that's required of us.
Okay, panel, do we have any further questions or discussion or a motion?
Oh, I agree with Aaron. We can put it as a condition that they will obtain a permit from Urban Forestry. Yeah, because in terms of the variances, they are quite minor, and then it's a very good presentation. He explained why he required these variances.
Yeah. Is that a motion, Yim?
Oh, yes, the motion is the approval condition to urban forestry, condition number 2.
All right. The seconder? All right. Aaron? All right, all in favor? You have your approval, sir. Thank you. Next application is number 142295 Young Street, and this is the purpose of the application is to alter the existing two-story commercial building by converting the second floor into recreational space. Before us on this application, we have material submitted by the applicant. Ms. Isaac?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. I don't think we need a presentation from you. Panel, do you need a presentation on this matter? Do you have any questions? Ms. Luna, Ms. Isaac, do you have any comment you want to make before we consider the application?
Nope.
Okay, thank you. All right, do we have comment or a motion?
I'll move a motion. I think this is extremely minor, and I can see no negative impacts on this, especially being on Yonge in a very transit-heavy area. So I move to approve with no conditions.
All right, thank you. Seconder? All right, Aaron? All right, all in favor? You have your approval. Thank you. Next application is number 1598 Millicent Street. Purpose of this application is to alter the existing rear detached one-story concrete block garage by constructing a full second-story addition with a rear-facing balcony for the purpose of creating a laneway suite. And we have material submitted by the applicant, a engineering report and opposition from 87 Lappin Avenue. Mr. Vieira.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. I'm the agent, Marco Vieira, and the designer for this application.
Okay, can we have a brief presentation, sir?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. The proposal before you is to use the existing footprint of the three-car garage and add a new second story over that existing space. The 4 variances that we are seeking are as a result of existing conditions in terms of its setbacks from the property lines and also from the rear lane. The first variance, which we're asking for landscaped area, is actually an increase, as most of the rear yard of the existing backyard is interlocked. So what we are proposing to do is to move the majority of that interlocking to add some sodded area, which it currently does not have, and then using the existing building to create the laneway suite.
Yeah, variance number 2.
Variance number 2 is the distance of the 75% of the area between the building and the laneway suite abutting a lane must be landscaped. So that existing rear setback is it's basically, as of right, is the existing garage outline. On one side, it has the setback much closer to the lane, and then on the other side has 0.9 meters setback from the rear lane. We're proposing a small planter there and only a 8-inch projection of just the overhang of the balcony. So no change to the existing setbacks of the garage.
Okay, so
And this variance one under the other bylaw is similar. It's the setback that refers to having 1.5 meters from the rear lot line, but existing condition is such that we are proposing to keep that existing block wall where it is. So the setback does not change.
right, and the width is existing.
Exactly. The width of where the allowed maximum is 8 meters, our width is 8.74, just because of, again, existing. The garage is built essentially lot line to lot line, as are the other garages on east and west along Millicent, for the majority of them that have been reconstructed, many of which was under the old bylaw. So basically, it's to try to utilize the existing structure with no further excavation or demolition of that, and extend to a 6-meter height, which complies with the allowed. So the laneway sweep and essentially distance and setbacks from the house is in compliance. The variances we're seeking are as a result of its current position on the lot.
Right, thank you. Any questions, panel? All right, Ms. Beatty?
Hear me?
Yes.
Good afternoon. My name is Amanda Beatty, and I'm the homeowner at 87 Lappin Avenue. That's the property directly north of the proposed laneway house. So this proposed house will face into the back of our home. I have a few concerns about the proposal. First is the scale of the property. Wallace Emerson is a bit of a quirky neighborhood with houses ranging from 1 to 3 stories, but many of them are on quite narrow lots, including my own. This property is one of the widest ones on the block at 8.74 meters, so it's nearly double the size of our home and many of the neighboring properties. So what they're proposing is a 2-bedroom, 2-car garage house. So it's definitely a house, not just merely a suite. So when you combine the width of their property, which I don't have any objection to, of course, the existing structure is 8.7 meters now. But when they add that second story, it becomes quite out of scale with the rest of the neighborhood. And there's no setback proposed for that second story that I think is needed in order to at least give some illusion of fitting in with the neighborhood scale. This property is in the middle of the block, so we don't have the luxury of a corner to give kind of clearer sight lines. And also, I have some concerns about in the proposed drawings, the east and west sides of the exposed second story are concrete block, where they're just going to carry the concrete block up to the second story. I would think that the architect could make some efforts for more appealing material visually to respect the neighboring properties. They're using siding on the north and south, but then the side views are concrete block on those plans. Of course, concrete block on the first floor makes sense because they're going to be directly against the property on the lower story, but on the second story, that concrete block will be exposed for all of the neighboring sightlines. My second concern is on the sightlines for this. We have no tree cover really in this neighborhood at all. So this house will have a direct sightline into our backyard that we use all the time and into the bedroom at the back of our house. I currently use that bedroom as my home office while I work from home, but should my boyfriend and I decide to expand our family over the coming years, this would be used as a nursery. And they've proposed a balcony on the back of this property, which further exacerbates the issue. I certainly understand the need for lights in their unit, but I would think a window or even a Juliet-style balcony would be more appropriate and respectful of the closeness of how close we are in this neighborhood and the lack of tree cover and privacy. And then kind of final questions are just more so on the questions of density. This house at 98 Millicent is a rental property. I believe it at least has 2 or possibly 3 units. We can already hear when tenants on the second story have parties, which is within their rights, of course, but this larger unit really feels like they're pushing it to the absolute maximums. And I also have some concerns on the practicalities of the construction of this project. I'm certainly not in opposition for this reason, but I'd like to hear if they have plans on how they'll keep the laneway clear for access, as it's a key access point for all of the garages on both Lapin and on the south side of Lapin and the north side of Millicent. Since the properties in this neighborhood are all right against the property line, it's not like there's really space for them to put a dumpster in front of their garage, their existing garage now. And as you can see, there's very little access from the front of the house. So I think that they would have to use the back alleyway as their primary method for access during construction. So I'm just curious about that. But in conclusion, my boyfriend and I are somewhat resigned ourselves to this project, but feel like this plan could be adjusted to remove the balcony that has the direct sight lines into our yard and into our bedroom. And perhaps enforce a setback so there's a bit better illusion of scale within this neighborhood and less shadowing of the neighboring properties, and perhaps using a more attractive material for the second story on the east-west side that isn't concrete block, that might be kind of more appealing for the neighbors that are looking out their windows.
All right, Ms. Beatty, we have no jurisdiction over materials or architectural features. We only deal with the zoning variances. Okay, so does any panel members have any questions of Ms. Beatty? Yim? No questions? Okay, we can go back to Mr. Vieira.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'd just like to touch base upon the existing laneway that currently is there is at 4.27 meters in width, with an additional 0.9 meters setback that we have to the existing garage. And then taking into account that the length of the average garage on Lapin is approximately 6 meters. Our laneway suite is essentially 36 feet, basically 11 meters away from the face of the garage of the neighbors that is in opposition. At 6 meters in height, the second floor is below the height of the roof lines of those garages. And the visual impact, even though the top of the laneway suite can be visible, it's not further negatively impacting the view, as it is a new structure. The balcony is only for, let some natural light standing room. It's 2 meters squared. It doesn't allow for table to be put out there or any type of large gathering. It's essentially for 1 or 2 person to use and occupy. It doesn't stick out past the extent of the laneway suite. It's cut in, so it basically limits people to not have any overlook, as the railing is in line with the existing, with the existing footprint and with the proposed wall along the second floor. The adjacent neighbors have expressed no concerns with it, as in terms of shadowing, the property in opposition is to our north. So, east-west sunlight, it won't be any effect. Shadowing will basically be extending over the laneway in early morning hours and not into their backyard. And throughout the winter, maybe there's a little bit of shadowing, but when the backyard is not being in use. So I feel that using the existing structure, is going to minimize the amount of disruption along the lane. There is no demolition, there's no excavation being proposed. And when it comes to bins and the structure, I know it's not a variance, but those can be placed within the garage to maintain accessibility throughout the lane. And then the rest, the wood can be basically put inside the structure and then brought up to the second floor to do the addition. So there's no heavy machinery. There's a lot more, I would say, manpower than anything else. So in terms of impact, I believe that there's minimal impact to the adjacent properties. I think it provides a great housing alternative within the city to basically have smaller units using the footprint of the existing structure and allow people to stay within the city. The councillor has also expressed support for this application. And I think that the variances that are being sought because of the existing condition and the location of the existing garage, I believe that they are minor, and I believe that our clients are being sensible, building in line, and not trying to have any other projections extend past the footprint of the garage to therefore minimize people hanging out at a balcony or overlooking.
All right, thank you, sir. The panel, do you have any questions? Have any, we go into committee, do you have any comments, or do we have a motion?
Yeah, if you, I will jump in, and I think the variance is minor, and I think that because the balcony is actually, no, the balcony is actually recessed, and I think that is actually improve a lot of privacy there, and it's quite a distance to any house or that, and I do not think the shadow is an impact to any properties, and I'm willing to move for approval subject to development engineering's condition for Laneway Street. That's it.
I'll second that.
I think urban forestry has a condition. I'm not sure. Oh, pardon me. No, you're right. That's on the next one. Okay, just the engineering. Your seconding, Peter? All right,
Yeah.
all in favor? You have your approval, sir. Thank you. Yes.
Are we on a break, guys?
Yeah, I'm not too sure.
5 minutes, is it, or?
Maybe they don't, we cannot hear
Okay.
you.
No, he can hear me. He's saying I think 5 minutes.
Peter,
Yes.
and Yim, and Aaron. Just 5 minutes.
Hi.
Okay.
Okay, thanks,
I
guys.
have the real copy. Yeah, thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to be stopping the YouTube live stream in a second and starting up a second one. So you'll be able to search the same title in a couple minutes, and it'll end in PM. And that'll be the live stream that we're using moving forward. Okay?